Cullman, Alabama. Jealousy, infidelity, and murder. The shocking case of Tiffiney Crawford's death. On the evening of May 2, 2017, 37-year-old Jason Crawford placed a chilling call to 911 from his home in Cullman, Alabama. He frantically reported that his wife, Tiffany, was seriously injured in her van parked outside their house. Jason pleaded for an ambulance to arrive as soon as possible. As he waited for help, the first responders to arrive were sheriff's deputies. They discovered 32-year-old Tiffiney Crawford slumped over in the driver's seat with a pink revolver in her left hand. Jason claimed that his wife kept the gun in the driver's side door for protection. When a deputy attempted to check Tiffany's pulse, the revolver fell from her grasp. The deputies questioned Jason about the events leading up to the incident. He revealed that he and Tiffany had argued that evening. Jason refused to let her enter the house, insisting she could no longer live with him. He claimed that after he went inside, he heard a shot, a scream, and then another shot. Jason ran outside to find a horrifying scene. Tiffany had 2 gunshot wounds to her head, one to the left jaw and another to the left temple. The deputies immediately suspected that Jason was withholding information, finding it unlikely that Tiffany could have shot herself twice. By the time paramedics arrived, Tiffany was still alive, but despite their efforts to resuscitate her, she tragically succumbed to her injuries. As the news of Tiffany's death spread, it came to light that Jason's mother, Rhonda Crawford, worked as a secretary in the sheriff's office. She was one of the first to learn about the incident and informed Tiffany's mother, Cheryl McGuckin, of the heartbreaking news. Jason was taken to the police station for questioning, where he denied any involvement in his wife's death, maintaining that she had taken her own life. During the interrogation, Jason revealed that Tiffany was right-handed, a detail that would later prove significant. The couple's history came under scrutiny. Jason and Tiffany had met 6 years earlier, in 2011. At the time, Jason was already divorced, raising his son alone after leaving his first wife due to her infidelity. Tiffany was married when they met, but she fell in love with Jason and left her husband to be with him. Jason claimed it was love at first sight, describing Tiffany as outgoing, vibrant, and beautiful, a stark contrast to his own personality. The couple soon married and raised Jason's son Logan together, later welcoming a son and daughter of their own. As the children grew older, Tiffany became increasingly involved in community life. One night she had a dream in which she helped others, and upon waking she realized it was her calling. Tiffany created a Facebook group called Mothers Helping Mothers to support moms in need of emotional assistance. The group gained nationwide popularity, attracting around 9,000 members from various cities by the time of her death. Tiffany's compassion and willingness to listen provided immense support to countless mothers facing challenges. The investigation into Tiffany's death was handed over to the Alabama State Bureau of Investigation. When they arrived at the scene to examine the van where Tiffany had died, they discovered that someone had already thoroughly cleaned the vehicle's interior. It emerged that the sheriff's office, where Jason's mother worked, had given permission for the van to be cleaned, despite nearly a day having passed since the tragedy. Jason claimed he had cleaned the van to prevent their children from seeing anything disturbing inside. During the investigation, it was revealed that in the months leading up to her death, Jason had noticed changes in Tiffany's behavior. She had become distant and started drinking heavily. Jason suspected she was having an affair. On the night of her death, just hours before the tragedy, Jason discovered messages on their home computer indicating that Tiffany was indeed involved with another man. He confronted her over the phone, but she denied any knowledge of the situation. Jason demanded she come home immediately to discuss the matter in person. Tiffany's mother, Cheryl, admitted she had long been aware of her daughter's affair. Before leaving to meet her husband, Tiffany called Cheryl and confided that she planned to confess to Jason about her new relationship. Tiffany's close friend, Lindsay Luke, also knew about the secret affair, revealing that Tiffany had expressed her intention to leave Jason for her new partner. Tiffany had even taken a job at a grocery store to save money for her new life, confiding in Lindsay that she didn't want to hurt Jason and had no plans to disclose the affair, even in the event of a divorce. On the fateful evening of May 2nd, Tiffany arrived home around 10 p.m. with their son and daughter. Jason refused to let her inside, and the children went upstairs to their bedrooms, soon falling asleep. Logan, Jason's older son, was awake inside the house. According to Jason, he accused Tiffany of ruining their marriage, and the couple argued outside for nearly an hour. Jason insisted that Tiffany leave immediately, disregarding where she would spend the night. Tiffany persuaded Jason to give her work clothes. He went inside, retrieved the clothes, and threw them in his wife's face before returning to the house. The last words he heard from Tiffany were, "Jason, I love you." Detectives listened to Jason's 911 call multiple times and noticed that he had initially reported the revolver was lying next to Tiffany. However, he later claimed she was holding the gun when he found her. Jason consistently avoided answering the question of who had shot her, instead pleading for an ambulance. It wasn't until the interrogation that Jason disclosed Tiffany's infidelity. Jason failed a polygraph test, but a lack of evidence prevented his arrest at the time. He was released. Weeks later, the results of Tiffany's autopsy arrived, and her death was ruled a homicide. It took a year of investigation and deliberation before Jason Crawford was arrested and charged with his wife's murder on May 21, 2018. He was taken into custody but released on bond within 30 minutes. For an entire year, Tiffany's mother struggled to accept her daughter's death. She refused to believe Tiffany had taken her own life and couldn't fathom the idea of her son-in-law being responsible. Cheryl initially supported Jason and attempted to justify his actions. Jason's lawyers argued that there was no evidence proving he had committed the crime. No blood was found on his clothing, but the police had failed to search the house or test Jason for gunshot residue. His eldest son, Logan, corroborated Jason's claim that he was inside the house when the shots were fired. The defense emphasized that the gunshot wound to Tiffany's left temple occurred from a distance of at least 25 centimeters, according to experts. Jason maintained that the car door was closed, suggesting there was insufficient space inside the vehicle to fire a shot from that distance. Forensic investigators noted the absence of blood on the interior of the driver's side door and window, indicating the door was open during the shooting. In November 2022, more than 5 years after Tiffiney Crawford's death, Jason Crawford faced trial for her murder. Tiffany's mother chose not to attend the hearings. The prosecution argued that the motive for the crime was Jason's jealousy and anger over his wife's infidelity. Jason continued to deny any involvement. Male DNA was detected on the revolver's grip and trigger, but it could not be definitively identified as Jason's. The defense contended that Tiffany had received the gun from her father or brother. The prosecution asserted that after the shooting, Jason wiped the gun clean and planted it in Tiffany's left hand to deflect suspicion. The defense brought in Alabama's former chief medical examiner, who presented a differing opinion. He concluded that Tiffany had shot herself twice, first in the lower jaw, a non-fatal wound, and then in the left temple. Jason's lawyers provided evidence that Tiffany had visited a psychologist just days before her death, confessing she was struggling to cope with her emotions. Her friends confirmed she had been drinking heavily due to her lover ending their relationship, no longer wanting to be involved with a married woman. Excerpts from Tiffany's journal were entered into evidence and read aloud in court. An entry dated May 2, 2017, just hours before her death, revealed Tiffany's inner turmoil as she grappled with what to do with her life. In his final testimony, Jason Crawford professed his love for Tiffany and denied any wrongdoing. He admitted to speaking to her harshly that night, which may have pushed her over the edge. On November 18, 2022, the jury reached a verdict after a short deliberation. They found Jason Crawford guilty of the crime. He was sentenced to 99 years in prison, but will be eligible for parole in 15 years under Alabama law. Following the verdict, Tiffany's mother, Cheryl McGuckin, finally accepted her son-in-law's guilt after examining the evidence against him. She spoke out against Jason at his sentencing hearing, expressing her belief in his culpability. The tragic story of Tiffiney Crawford's murder serves as a reminder of the devastating consequences of jealousy, infidelity, and uncontrolled emotions. It highlights the importance of addressing relationship issues through open communication and seeking help when needed.